a lot of this stuff just like evolves over time anyway. Like the sneaker reselling went to Amazon. I'm making more, like way more with Amazon than sneaker reselling. I take those skills, I take the network I have now, and we'll just funnel the money and all the other skills I have built up with the network and right into the next thing, you know?
Welcome to the FBA Basecamp podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us. I'm Joe, and here with Jeff. This is Deke.
Yo, this kid is crushing it on Amazon. He's selling 7 figures already, and he can't even drink yet while balancing college. Amazing stuff. Looking forward to diving into this. Thanks for joining us, Sadeq.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate you guys having me on.
So tell us a little bit more. How did you get into Amazon?
Yeah, so it started back basically when I was 16. I was working at Papa John's, and I knew I didn't want to continue doing that, especially like with the winter coming around. I played basketball all of my life, so I wanted to make money online, without having to be at a job or have like serious time commitment. So I started sneaker reselling, and then on like normal platforms like StockX, Go, and eBay, I was selling there. I did that for around 2 years till I turned 18 and graduated high school, and then that summer is when I kind of figured out all my like sneaker buddies are transitioning into Amazon just because it's a much bigger platform, much bigger volume. And then that entire summer is like when I basically picked it up and got started.
Okay. So with the sneaker reselling, were you buying like hot new releases, with like bots, or talk a little bit about that?
It was a mixture between like sneaker releases on like the Sneakers app, Foot Locker, Finish Line, stuff like that. And then like the other half of it was basically online arbitrage where I was sourcing at like massive retailers, trying to get big discounts, and get these pairs for below retail, and then go sell them on StockX, Go, and eBay for around retail or just above or just below retail.
Okay, so the same stuff you do on Amazon, you're just using different platforms. I gotcha. Man, and you were doing this while you were in high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
How'd you know what to buy? Like, how'd you figure out a list of what you thought would be good to flip?
That's a great question. No one ever asked me that. Basically, I joined a $20 a month Discord group, and it was basically just a leads list of just feeding you leads of, hey, buy from here with this coupon, with this discount code, with this cash back, and sell it here. And this is like what the market's showing and whatnot. And that was $20 a month when I was 16. And I thought that was like the biggest investment of my life at the time.
And it actually worked. Like you didn't run into, I'm sure you had to run into some issues where there was too many people on the list and, buying the same stuff. And then, there's only, eBay's already a slower market. I'm not as familiar with, Goat and StockX, but either way, I'm sure they're somewhat slower markets. If you have,
yeah, they're definitely slower than Amazon, but they were booming at the time just because with like COVID and like the stimulus checks and everything. Yeah, it was like end of 2020, beginning of 2021. It was booming.
Was definitely the sneaker boom.
Yeah,
all the retail stores, a lot of them are closed. Everybody's shifting online, and everybody have extra government money to spend to go run or play basketball.
Yep.
Cool.
So talk a little bit about that. You're a 7-figure seller, so you're obviously probably making some decent profit with it, and you're still in college. Explain to why you're in college. Do you plan to continue with it? You hear all these people about dropping out, everything else with it. Explain to me a little bit about your thought process there.
Yeah, so in high school, I didn't go to a traditional high school. I went to a trade high school, and I was doing multimedia programming, digital and design. So like I'm certified in all the Adobe programs. I'm good with HTML, CSS, Java, all that stuff. And then I actually got second in the state in PA in 2 different categories, so digital design and programming. So I didn't exactly want to go to college just because I was making like decent money for my age at like 18. But I talked it over with my parents. No, with sneakers.
I know.
Yeah. And then I talked it over with my parents. At least give it a try. And then I'm at a community college, so it's pretty cheap. I drive there every day, come back. It's not a ton of commitment, even though it is sometimes with homework, but it's manageable. And then after my associates, which is next semester, I'm done. I'm probably just going to call it quits there.
Do you plan on entering any kind of real world jobs, or you plan on still sticking with your own thing?
Probably my own thing. And then a lot of this stuff just like evolves over time anyway. Like the sneaker reselling went to Amazon. I'm making more, like way more with Amazon than sneaker reselling. I take those skills, I take the network I have now, and we'll just funnel the money and all the other skills I have built up with the network and right into the next thing,
Does the college life at all impact your buying or any kind of your whole process with how you manage your business?
No, not really. I mean, initially when I first started, like I started basically when I started college, like that summer, and then college started like end of August or whatever. I mean, there would be sales where I would miss just because I was doing homework, but over time, like those two roles like swapped, where it's like if there's a big sale and I could spend big money, I'm doing that before the homework.
The sourcing becomes the priority. The homework can wait or be missed.
Yep.
Makes sense. I was, in college, my side hustle was gambling. So I got into online gambling. I'm old. Was just starting to get released back then. So I started gambling, not because I could gamble, but because they would pay you. And they still do this. And I actually just met somebody the other day that still does this now. But you sign up, you put $200 in, and they'll give you $200. And then you just had a wager like, $500 worth, and you can keep that bonus. And I would just sign up, and there was all these new, casinos.
Party poker.
Yep. This was before the poker boom, though. So this was mostly like I was just going to play blackjack and try to break even. And the 200 would whittle down to like 180, and then I'd cash that out, and then I go to another one. And then once I got to a certain amount, then I was like, okay, this is there's only so many casinos I can do this for. So let me hook up my buddies. They want to get a short home for the summer here. I'll help you. This is what you got to do. And then I'd refer to them, so I get my referral credit, and then help them, navigate the process. And it was good. So my side hustle.
Did you get your money tied up in any of the stuff when they were shutting down sites and everything?
No, I had started to shift a little bit away from that. So like, I started this, and this is really not supposed to be about me. It's supposed to be about Sadeq. But anyway, I started this like my junior year in college, and I did it for 2 years. And similar to the Sadeq, I guess, with college. But I'm like, okay, well, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna go get a day job, or can I continue making this money gambling? So I gambled for a year, and then I paid off my undergraduate degree with my gambling winnings, and then I went back and got my a master's degree. And at that point, that's where I started to slow down a little bit on the gambling. I was still doing online gambling, but much, that's when the poker boom started. So I was doing the poker, but I didn't have massive amounts. And then, I think I'd almost like exited, I got a real job, a 9-to-5 job, and was living that, the American dream, I guess we'll call it. And it started to shift away from, poker and gambling what is it? It was like a Black Friday or whatever they call it.
It was nuts. So Sadeq, to give you background on this, because I don't even know if you were born yet when this was going on. Actually, I definitely know you weren't born yet when this was going on. But they, what ended up happening was they started tightening up the restrictions on all this stuff, and they shut down these sites, and these sites couldn't afford to do the payouts, and they had reserve similar to like what Amazon has, where they had an account reserve that would pen for 2 weeks or a week or whatever it was before it paid out to you. And all of a sudden everybody's accounts got frozen, and then I found out that they were like still paying the people that worked at the business out of the accounts of everybody that had money stuck in there, and with no intention to ever pay anybody back. So they had all these like court mandate things, and the company was completely bankrupt by the time anything went out. So people lost a lot of money. There are people that had hundreds of thousands of dollars in these things. They had like, high, what do you call it? The high yield or high bet games and everything. It was nuts. But a lot different than.
But it wasn't that long ago, because it had to be like 2006 or 2008 or something. I mean, it was a while ago, but
was it that? I thought it was like 2005.
Yeah,
but maybe. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I digress. So back to you and your college life and selling. So, were you doing when you started, and even now, were you more RA, OA? You do both?
I started OA just because that's what I was doing with StackX Go and eBay, and then I looked up like near me, and there was like 4 or 5 Nike outlets and a couple Adidas outlets. I'm like, let me just go give this a try. And then I knew a couple of guys from Discord from Boston, and they were like friends with the manager, because like, I don't know, like basically someone they knew from high school or whatever was like working there, and they basically got into like the weeds of like the management there, and they were getting like they were getting like crazy stacks and crazy discounts on like these shoes RA. And I'm like, all right, let me go give this a shot. And I found a lot of stuff. And then the stores I was going to didn't even have an issue if I was getting bulk. They didn't really care. They were literally helping me take like the 30 pairs to the front. Like they were very helpful and very nice. And I'm like, this is awesome. And this is like much higher margin than I'm getting OA anyway. So I just ran that up from like maybe like January to like some point in like summer of 2023. So last year.
Okay. And then you shifted back to OA.
Yeah, I shifted back to OA. I got more spend. I got some business credit. I made a lot of money in that short span. I'm like, that's a lot of work to like spend like 60, 70K just RA. Even with like bringing my boys just so I can get an additional 30 pairs every time. It's still a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have multiple credit cards and stuff to do that, or were you just kept handing off the same credit card?
No, I had multiple.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things we saw. And I'm always impressed when I find the people that have scaled RA because it's hard, especially like shoes. I mean, you fill up a car at like, you know, $5,000 maybe. Can you 3 or 5 grand? I guess
it's about $5,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to have an SUV, I would think, to get to $5,000. You don't get an SUV, you probably, you know, obviously it depends on price, right? You're buying $50 sneakers versus $30 sneakers. That makes a difference. But I always felt like if I went to the outlets, you know, and if I spent $5,000, my car was full, and that was about it, you know. So all right, so and then
I hate waiting in lines. So for me, it's fun to find a hunt and to go through it all, and then it gets old. But I guess it's like, you know, just like with OA, it's like you get used to seeing the same thing, so you don't even have to scan stuff anymore. You can just walk in and grab stuff and know that it's going to sell well. Yeah. I imagine it's the same type of thing with that. But yeah, I can't stand the lines, and anywhere where I was near the huge lines with any time of the day, it seemed like like especially the Nike outlets.
I don't know, the Nike outlets like during the day, during the weekdays especially, there's like no one ever. So I would go like at 11:30, maybe 12 after class, and all my boys were out of class too. We would take our 3 cars, go up, and then there's one in New Jersey where it's a Nike, and then there's an Adidas right next to it. And the Adidas at the time did not have a limit. So we would fill up my car with 5K and then another boy's car with 5K.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
And then, so you switched to OA because you could buy more bulk. Is that what the main decision was on that?
Yeah. It was easier to spend a lot more money.
Okay. And that's what you continue to do. You're not doing wholesale or private label or anything now?
No, I'm 100% OA right now.
I know like wholesale has been like the whole big ticket thing where everyone keeps talking about it. And does that pique your interest at all? Do you have interest in going into that kind of stuff, or do you still think that OA is the way to go?
It's piqued my interest a little bit just because sometimes with the guys I talk to, like they have an easy time spending money, especially when they find what works and like what distributors they like the best, or even if they have like a brand direct. I talked to a couple guys with brand directs. But I don't know. I think OA is like, it's just my bread and butter because I've been doing it for like 4 years at this point. And then, yeah, I don't know. I just like it. I'm slowly building a team around like sourcing and buying, sourcing and buying for me now.
So what's your whole sourcing setup look like? What apps do you use? Do you use VAs? How's that whole process? Well, I know you use VAs because we share VA, but
yeah.
What's your whole process look like?
Yeah, software is at SellerAmp and Keepa, and I have IP alerts for my Clear the Shelf as well. Yeah, those are my basic softwares, and then the team, it's basically just me and my boys. Like Abe, I know you guys had on before. I talk to him every day, and my other guy I know, Jack, he's from Boston, the guy I was talking about for RA. We're in like a little group chat. We send whatever we find to each other, and it just makes spending like so much easier. And and then for VAs, I have an admin VA. She takes care of like, email sorting, reconciliation, buy sheet, seller board cost of goods, because that's a nightmare. And then she'll source in her free time as well, because I initially hired her as a sourcer. And then Joe, we basically just got 2 new VAs, so they're helping out a lot now for sourcing.
And then is there a category that you still feel most comfortable in? Are you still sticking with shoes, or are you kind of diversifying and going out into other categories?
Yeah, shoes and apparel I feel the most comfortable in because again I've been sourcing that same stuff for 4 years now. Um, but yeah, I'm slowly getting out of it. There's a ton of other good categories I've just been like ignoring basically for a very long time just because I was sticking with what I was comfortable with. But I'm slowly getting out of it now.
How are you handling all the returns with those, since those are high return categories and you're in school?
Yeah, I mean, I source a high enough ROI, so like it makes sense to buy certain shoes, right? And then for like the removals that come to my house, I'll just check them out, make a case if I have to, if it's FBM or whatever, and then I'll just list them up on like the same eBay or whatever, or Macari as well, or like Facebook Marketplace or something. I'll get rid of them.
So you're
Nice.
not building a nice death pile. You're actually churning through them.
I'll do it like once a quarter. I have like a
Oh, you got a death pile too.
it's okay, but I'll take care of it like once a quarter.
You haven't had to rent out a separate storage unit yet for them. It sounds.
Nope,
like.
it's got like a
Nope,
little
then,
space in my garage right now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Now, are you living on your own, or are you is that your parents' garage? You got a space in?
Parents' garage. Yep.
How do they feel about that?
Oh, they don't care. Like I've been doing it for 4 years, and then I like basically taught my brother how to do it too. So it's like they're used to it by now.
Is he also selling on Amazon?
No, he's in a like social SMMA or whatever, like the marketing stuff. And he's doing like way better than me, but yeah.
How old is he?
He's 21, 1 year older than me.
Gotcha.
Are your parents supportive of this versus like the college? How did those discussions go?
Oh, they are like the most supportive people in the world. Like it's awesome. Like it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, now you hear a lot of horror stories of parents that are just so like set in their ways that you have to do college, you have to get a real job, you have to do this, and it can be a real drag. So it's good that you have somebody supporting.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, did you say everything's going out to a prep center, or are you prepping?
No, like 90% of stuff go to the prep center, and then like one-offs that I want to prep myself if it's low margin or whatever. I don't mind doing that. And then I have a little sister as well who helps me for like if I want to FBM something that's pretty light or whatever. She just takes care of like the FBM setup right now.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Cool. You continue to plan on having a family involved in what you're doing as you keep growing, or are you going to see what their interests are as you go?
We'll see what their interests are. Like I have two younger siblings. One's 6 and the other one's 13. The 13-year-old's the one helping me. When I was 13, I was selling candy in like the middle school halls. Like, I don't know how much I was making, but like I'm assuming like $30 to $50 a week. If I could put like $50 to $100 a week in her pocket just for like helping me out, and then she gets like some exposure to business too, like it's just awesome.
It's awesome. I was in the middle school racket of selling candy too, buying like sour balls from Mr. Bulky's and then sell them at lunch.
I was buying all my stuff from like BJ's and selling them for like $1 or $2, depending on like the blue Skittles you couldn't find anywhere. So I was selling those for like $2 and they would just sell out every single time.
That's awesome. See, I was the opposite. I brought a 20-sided die to school and I'd play odds and evens with people and they'd gamble their money. And I'd always just make sure I had more money than they had. And then we bet that you could only gamble what you had in on your person. So as long as I had more money, they were eventually going to lose more. So I'd always win. And I target all the people that were like buying cigarettes after school and stuff like that. So win all their, so kind of like a superhero, I guess you could call me. But but yeah,
taking away their cigarette money.
Yeah, I was just playing odds and evens and just with a 20-sided die. And I don't know how much I made with it, but definitely made a decent amount. I remember there was one roll where I won $600 off a friend, and a teacher saw it, and I was like, "Great!" They're like, "You better run to the bus. Someone's gonna beat you up to try to get that." Like, there's 30 people watching. I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I did. I ran to the bus. But yeah, it's totally different than what you guys are doing.
But yeah, starts early. I remember early days doing that, and baseball cards was big at my time. Baseballs, basketball cards, selling them off to I started selling the cards, like go to the card shows and sell them. Then I just started getting tables at card shows and selling stuff. All right. So what about what is sort of your OA routine? Like, do you how are you finding deals? How are you? Sounds like you're working with some other folks as well. Tell us a little bit about your process.
Yeah, so this guy named Soros Empire, like he was basically like one of the first guys I learned from. He had like a $10 million year, and then I think he did like 6.5 last year. And I was like in his paid group, and he basically just told me, if you source good products, you're gonna solve like 95% of your issues, like within Amazon. As long as you're
Is that the arbitrage ops groups or?
he was a part of that initially, yeah, but he broke off into his own group last year.
Soros
Okay.
Empire or something.
Yeah, he's awesome. He said as long as you're like sourcing good products, very profitable, it's going to solve 95% of your issues. And then I asked him, how long should I be sourcing? And he said at least 90 minutes a day. So that's what I've stuck to for like the last over a year straight. 90 minutes a day, send whatever I find to Abe and Jack. And then the VAs now are playing a big part of like my spending now, just because the one Joe brought on, the two Joe brought on, they're very good. And then Stephanie, the initial one I had, she's just getting better and better with more feedback.
Nice. Now,
do you have any 8A flips in your repertoire there? Because we just did a video on it yesterday and on going through it all, and it's been a big topic lately, is the going Amazon to Amazon.
I've been like around the idea for a very long time, and I just haven't done it. But like I see guys like big guys like Jeff and like the RBops guys, they do it too, and I'm like, I'm just like lacking right now if I'm not a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to source, and there's only so much time in the day. You can only do so much. Where do you envision? It seems like you've already started some form of scaling. You're not just a one-man shop. In the fact that there's some VAs supporting. Do you have a plan to keep pushing and scaling, or sort of keeping it? Tell us a little bit where you see the growth.
Yeah, I'm around 120, 130K a month right now. I ideally want to get to 200K, but like that's kind of like, I don't think that's a great goal. I should have a profit goal instead. But like from the very start, that's literally all I wanted. I was like, oh, I see a lot of guys do 100K a month, but there's not a lot of guys who do 200K. But I don't know. I'm just trying to push profits right now, get my margin up a little bit more. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple schools of thought on that. Is one, yeah, you want the profits, because if you don't have profits, then you don't have a business. But then the other school of thought is if you can get the revenue, then you can figure out your processes to get the profits better. But if you don't have that revenue to support that, then you're not really fixing anything. So it's kind of an odd balance. But I think you're at that size where as long as you keep scaling, you can start to work on the different processes. What's a good buy? What's a bad buy? Repricing, those kind of things to add more value and more profit.
Yeah, and from my perspective, it's always easier to, obviously profit matters, but it's easier to be able to say, okay, I know, okay, my margins are going to be this. How do I get there? So it starts with, okay, well, what sales do I have to get? Then to get to what sales, what type of spend do I need to get? And that's usually where I'd set my targets. Like, okay, if I want to get to 200, then I need to spend at least 100,000 for 3 straight months. If you spend 100,000 3 straight months, you're buying fast moving inventory, you're going to get there. And then that's where I work towards. But the thing you got to be careful, of course, is not being so focused on spending that 100K. The next thing you know, you're letting those margin requirements and profitability numbers slip, because then that's where it's you push too hard to get to a certain spend amount, and then next thing you know it, your margins aren't that good. And especially nowadays, because it's just I don't even know if nickel and dime you is the right word now, but I mean, they hit you going in with the inventory placement fee. They hit you on, if you sell too fast with the low inventory fee. Now you got the return processing fee that starts in June, starts next month. It's already in place for shoes and clothes, which you're already selling. So I'm not sure it's going to really impact you as much, but for the other people, it's going to be rolling out in other categories. I think they're only hitting you with it if it's a high return rate over the average or something insane. They keep not only they keep adding fees, they keep making it more and more complex. Like, I still don't know how this low inventory fee works. And every time I think I got like something figured out, they change it, which is good.
Yeah. They keep updating it. And
I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy because it's significantly better when with this recent update. But like I had this whole repricing strategy. We had like 5 different meetings about it. We had everything all ready to implement it. And then they're like, oh, just kidding, we're not doing it. And which is great but now I'm like, okay, well, that whole strategy that I spent all this time on doesn't make sense anymore because it was all based on what the historical days we're at. And then, okay, if it's under 28 days, we got to slow down our repricing because we don't want to, sell. And actually it wasn't that. It was, hey, our historical day stock is at, under 40. So we got to slow down our sales rate so that we can avoid this low inventory fee. Now that doesn't even matter. You just have to stop the sales below 20 units in the 7 days. I haven't got a straight answer if that's on the front end or the back end, but it's but it's a pain, and it's just removal fees. God, and Joe, you started after me, but I mean removal fees used to be a quarter, I think. Quarter 50 cents. I feel like my parents. Like I used to go to the movies for a nickel, but like like you used to pay nothing for removals. I think it was 25 cents for a friggin' an item and 50 cents for oversized, and now it's like what, almost $4 I think to get a shoe removed now. So you just have to make sure your margins. And I see so many people sourcing shoes with like $8 profit, and I'm like, you're not making money on that. That doesn't work. No, you can't make money on $8 profit shoes. Like it'll look pretty going in. It's not going to look, when the return starts. So, because God, the return rate. What's your return rate? You sell in these high return categories. Do you track that?
Yeah, my total return rate for last year was 9%.
Oh, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, that's not bad for shoes and clothes category, because
I had some like good replens of like health and household that I sold a ton of units of, so like that's probably helping it.
Yeah, that can help too, because those things can fly, and usually you can keep the return rate a lot lower with those.
For a long time, like I was selling hundreds per month for a long time. I just didn't even think they could get returned, because it's like I sold thousands last year, and I think I had like 2 returns.
Yeah, it's nice some of the other categories that you don't get hammered, because I mean shoes, you're.
Well, I mean, like who returns soap? Like it's like no one's.
Well, I'll tell you, because they're not good anymore. It's like it was just like it was garbage bags, and I'm like, okay. And I was going down all the way to like 20-25% ROI just because I was selling thousands and was not getting any returns.
Yeah.
I had a couple good Walmart. Sorry, go ahead.
I was the Simple Human used to be a good one. Now they're like.
That's what it was.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I did that. I figured that was what it was, because we did very well with them for a while, and we had buyers that were just like, we'd set up buyers just for them, because it was you could only get so many orders in.
I've been buying them since like month 2 or 3 of selling, and like I sold it throughout like most of last year too. Like it was ridiculous. And then I don't know, they changed up like the coupon strategy and all that stuff, but
well, now they're
filing IPs.
So I don't even know if you can sell them anymore because of the IP complaint. So I think, are they selling now themselves? Or were they always? I can't remember. But
I don't know. I haven't checked in a couple of months.
Yeah, but I'd be careful with them now. Cool.
So you got started not too long ago, and one thing that Jeff's been kind of out of the social media game for a bit, and one of the things that's kind of been in his face is just how much absolutely bad or horrible or completely wrong advice there is that goes out there, that people are just blurting out and saying it confidently. That's kind of letting people, lead them to believe, something completely wrong, or they're steering them in the wrong direction, or they just don't know that they're giving bad advice. How did you avoid that? Like, you found Soros, and I follow a lot of Soros stuff, and it seems legit. I know people that are in his groups as well. How did you weed through all that? How did you figure out that was a good avenue to go? And how did you kind of put the blinders on to ignore all the just pure crap that's out there?
Yeah, I listened to, thankfully I found like Arbops and Soros like early on, and I saw they were like tweeting and talking about things that not a lot of other people were talking about. And they're like primarily in the same category as me. So I'm like, okay, these dudes are making a ton of money. They're doing millions per year. Let me just buy into their group, listen to what they have to say. And then they have a ton of high-level guys in there as well. So it's like, it just made it easy for me to ask questions and just get my answers out of them rather than like on social media or whatever. And yeah, I just basically found guys I related to. So they were talking about stuff not a lot of people want to talk about because it's not like the pretty side of Amazon or whatever. And yeah, I was just taking all the advice I could from them.
Yeah, because I've seen some of the comments and stuff in your Discord. You run a good Discord there. Is anybody else an admin in there as well with your group?
No, it's just man.
Just you. Yeah, I mean, it's good advice in there as well, and it seems to be solid and honest, and something that Jeff and I appreciate. And that's what we try to do in our group as well. But yeah, it's tough because like you get some of these people that are like asking things like, well, I heard it was this. We're like, who told you that? Like, that's completely wrong. Like, that's just so backwards and bad and just completely misleading. And to extent, like, we don't even know why. Like, there's no benefit anybody got out of it other than they didn't do the research and they're just giving bad advice. Maybe some of these people don't actually sell what they say they're selling, and that's why they're giving the bad advice. We don't know. But
I've definitely seen that before. But a lot of it comes down to like just testing too, like putting your 10 units here, put your 10 units there. Just look at your data. If you look at your own data, it doesn't even matter what anyone's saying on Twitter. If you can understand your own data, your own numbers, you can continue to scale or continue to push with that same model of what you're doing. Because if you're clearly making money and the money you're happy with, like you can scale that.
Yeah. So
do you envision hiring shoppers and, or do you have vision growing? You said you want to get to 200. Is that, and even beyond that, like what's your growth strategy? Have you thought about that?
I think it's just the VA infrastructure because that's just like more lead flow for me. I don't have to be spending like 5 hours a day or whatever sourcing. And then my admin VA's, she's working on purchasing now too, which is like, I probably spend more time purchasing than I do sourcing.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes. When I did that 100K challenge the other day, like I had stuff lined up in a couple hours and I spent like eight hours just trying to freaking purchase it all. It's a lot. And it's good if you can have, somebody that can, make the purchases and record it appropriately. It's good. It's very smart. That I shouldn't say I'm surprised, but a lot of sellers, especially, that when they don't start outsourcing the admin stuff, they do it all and they get so bogged down, especially as you grow. So that it's so smart that you've already done that and already have started to build that infrastructure of, hey, my time's too valuable. I shouldn't be, dealing with this admin crap. Let me get a VA to do it so that I can do what I'm good at is sourcing. And then you have your VAs that are helping you, get more leads, then you can vet them and drive that. And that's a good way to grow. I wish I did some of that stuff a little bit sooner.
Again, it's a lot of credit to like Soros and like RBops because I was asking them like, what do I outsource like top down? They're like, normally it's admin or no, normally it's prep center first, like prepping. Then they said admin, and then I don't remember what's after that, but it's something on the third step, and then fourth is sourcing.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
makes
I was
sense.
gonna say a lot of the advice that you see that's good advice is that you don't want to outsource the stuff that's actually making you money.
Yeah.
So like the stuff that's not making you money, that takes up your time, that stops bringing in money is what you want to outsource. So a lot of people do it opposite, including myself. Get a VA for sourcing, which is great, but then you're still getting bogged down in all the other crap that you could just develop systems for and have somebody go and do. Where if you really get good at sourcing, like Jeff is, he can source circles around me, and you get good at that, and then that's actually bringing money into your company instead of just farming that out and then doing kind of the stuff that's revenue generating.
Yeah, and then you'll start to understand too when it's time to get rid of it. Like I was back in the day, like last summer, I was spending more time prepping than I was sourcing, and then it got to the point where the admin work is just so annoying, and I don't want to have to log all my buys. And the seller board cost of goods input was taking like an hour a day just because I was testing and running so many SKUs at a time. Like, I just wanted to get rid of it.
How are you? What are you listing with? Do you not like? What do you list and ship with, like software wise?
Oh, Inventory Labs.
All right, so you use Inventory Lab.
Yeah, I have seller board too, just because a lot of people said it's good. I like it too, like seeing like the day to day of like, how like Inventory Labs take like a couple days to update, especially on the P&L and like inventory valuation, like all those reports. I just like seeing the day to day, and it's like $15 a month, and it's free for me too because like affiliates or whatever.
Yep. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and I use seller board for we did the free trial, and from our order volume, it's a lot more than the $15 a month or whatever. So I was like, we're gonna. It's not worth it. We might give it a shot again. But anyway, and I don't know I honestly don't know what our ops team was doing, but there's not a way to push the buy cost in from Inventory Lab.
There's like a bulk upload sheet you can do, but I don't think, I don't know. I just have the VA do it, and she does it every day, and it only takes her a couple of minutes. So
okay,
yeah, she's hitting the bulk upload.
maybe whatever she's got to do.
Yep, I got you. But you were like manually inputting it in, because you like the reports in there better than the Inventory Lab reports. Yeah,
and it felt like more real time to me because I could see like the profits daily.
It's a heck of a lot cleaner looking.
I've seen,
and you can do like the hover over on the stuff too, which is nice.
Yeah, I'll have to play with that a little bit more. Yeah, I've been, we use Inventory Lab as well, but we export all the data out and then build like spreadsheets that really give us better reporting because we don't love the reporting that's in an Inventory Lab. So maybe Sourboard is one that we can look into it as well. But part of it too is like just being able to we like to be able to, because we do RA, OA, wholesale. I like to run different reports of, okay, what's our wholesale, revenue and profitability? What's our RA, and what's our shopper specific? And Inventory Lab or Seller Board don't have that, so we have to pull it out and do spreadsheets with it. So yeah, cool.
So you have the Discord going. Like, what are your plans for that? What are your plans for that you see in the future other than just selling? Are you looking to do coaching? Are you looking to do courses? Like, what are you looking at for where you're going with all that?
Yeah, initially started as just like I wanted a hub for like guys that don't talk to necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but like if they're around, they could see me in VC, like voice channel with a couple other people and just hop in and talk to each other. And then it started growing. I'm like, okay, I have a decent social media presence. I'll launch it. Right now, I'm just providing as much value as like humanly possible with like the weekly calls, answering questions or whatever. And then I do have mentorship too for like guys who are just starting that want to get to like 10, 20, 30K a month as like a side hustle. I do have that now, and I am getting leads from that right now. But in terms of making it like fully paid, in the short term, like I don't think I have a plan for that at all. It's just providing value and meeting a bunch of people because it's awesome. Like I meet so many people out of that Discord that I just wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, no, it is good. I mean, the networking thing sounds a little cliche, that you hear all the gurus say, but it really does, help. I actually, when I first got into selling, I eventually, again, I've been doing it for a while. Facebook was the place. So, I had a Facebook group that like had 20,000 people in it. I ran a paid Amazon flip group, and just the amount of people that reach out to you. Times can be a bit much, but other times they're providing value, and you're learning different things from them, and it really helps build relationships. So there's definitely some value there.
Like not yesterday, this recent weekend that just passed, like there was a couple guys who just like notified me of like a crazy sale that was going on. Yeah, I'm like, thank you so much. Or like, maybe they'll let me know that this certain site has employee discounts and this is how you get them or whatever. But it's insane.
It is good because I mean, I did that. Then we built our Facebook group up to like 20,000 members, but if it just became too much, I'm like, at that point I started a real estate, right around 2020. I decided, okay, Amazon's not enough. This business, this business not enough. Let's also add a real estate business. So, I went hardcore into real estate for a couple of years while I was still trying to do the Amazon business. And this, I'm saying, something's got to go. So I sold the social media business and just got off of social media. And it was, it was this. And then recently I've got back in, and I was, yes, it's been a little eye opening of, all the different, Twitter and a lot of the advice and the coaching, selling, and all that stuff. I'm like, holy cow! I can almost see when this probably started, because it's like, okay, these are my Nike listings when they used to have like 20 sellers on it. Now there's 80 sellers on all the time. I used to be able to flip socks. We had a whole we had pallets of socks, and we used to just be able to make so much money on the socks. And now it's I'm sure you still can, but it's I miss the glory days when it didn't become such a hot thing. But
I heard some like guys back in the day too. They used to buy like Air Force Ones for like retail, $90 back in the day, selling for like 200 plus.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it really seems like, and there was always people selling. I mean, right? It wasn't like it wasn't, especially like the big thing back in the day. I don't even know if it's a thing, was the Nike friends and family thing. And you bring all your buddies with you and you buy, and and you could see it, like the listing would have 10 and then have 60 sellers. And then it would start to dip, and then another friends and family 60. So it wasn't that there wasn't, a lot of competition, but you definitely could really hammer Nike back in the day.
That's with those little cars around like Thanksgiving time, right?
Yeah, you would have little cards.
Yeah. That's the first time. That's the first time I went RA.
Yeah, they started to do it more like in the app or whatever. But I think they still handed out the cards if you went to the store.
Mm-hmm.
But you would like show up in your app, and then you could use it in your app and
whatnot. I didn't see him this recent like Thanksgiving time, but the year before, that was my first RA trip ever, and I just had like a bunch of them.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with having a network and having people proactively reach out to you. And there's just, doesn't matter what level you're at, like you can always learn from talking to other people. Like there's just which is part of the other reason why I want to get back into this, was like I know there's all these young bucks that are out there killing it with the different sourcing strategies, and I'm losing some of that by being disconnected from it all and just being working on my own with my network of people that I've talked with before I got back into trying to figure out the modern age social media stuff that's going on now with Twitter. And I haven't figured out Instagram yet, but Twitter, Instagram, and Discord.
They just changed everything yesterday with how Instagram's working and how it gets to the outreach with the community and paying for it and all sorts of craziness too. So that's all changing as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. All I used was Twitter and Discord for like the first year. So
how do you keep up with your Discord? Because like Jeff and I can barely keep up, the two of us, and I don't even think we have as many people as you have in your group.
You get way more questions than me though. Like you guys get a lot more questions than me. I look through it sometimes. I don't know. If I get DMs, I'll just answer it on the spot. And that's normally like quick, easy questions because a lot of them are beginners. I have like a lot of other buddies too that I talk to like on a weekly basis. They'll just help chime in here and there too. Like it's a community thing where it's like it makes it easier on me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is you get more people, then the other people start to manage, help answer the questions, and it runs smoothly and whatnot.
Well, sometimes it's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, other times you got to go back and correct the wrong answers that were given by the people that think they're being helpful. But
that's how everybody learns, though. I mean, that's where it becomes a community. Is as long as people don't walk into it with an ego, if they give some maybe not greatest advice ever, and then somebody else adds to it, as long as they're not like, well, start this big argument with it, everybody learns and walks away from it. So it works out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Yeah, right here it's Sadeq Wahab with 2 B's on Instagram or wherever, and then my Twitter is just with 1 B, and yeah, I'm pretty active on both.
Okay, and then your Discord is a free group currently, so that people can jump in there and join that through the links that we'll put into the description as well. Yep. And then anything that we can expect from you in the near future here? What any kind of goals other than the 200K, or is that kind of where you're trying to hit next?
Yeah, 200K is next, and then I want a 300K back to school.
Well, that's right around the corner, so you'll be hitting that soon.
Yeah, the volume picks up a lot. Like I got my first 100K month last August, but I think I can do like minimum 250, 300 just with like more capital, more experience, more leads.
It's cool to hear you really are going down a good path. I think I see so many people that are just, they're so pushing for those orange bars, but aren't setting it up right. And you look
a lot of them are like ego driven, where they want to have a bigger number than the next guy. Like there's plenty of guys who started after me and have bigger numbers, but I know they're not making a ton of money because either I have their storefront or they just tell me that, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people push those numbers just for like coaching reasons. I'm like,
yep.
That's not good, because if you don't know how to set up a good business, how are you going to teach someone else how to set up a good business?
It also really doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It's cool to see what like is possible and like, but like I know my goals are not to have a storefront as large as Jeff's. I don't want to have to manage all the different people and do all the different things with it.
Yeah.
I do want to grow, and that's cool. But like, I'm never going to be at the point where I'm like, looking at Jeff and being like jealous of because he's got a whole slew of other problems that he's got to deal with that I don't.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of problems.
I mean, he's got to worry about forklifts running people over, and also I don't.
We were actually loading a truck and we ran out of propane.
Yeah.
No, the big orange bars are just good because it shows you what's possible. But
yeah,
I don't know. I probably don't want to be at that massive scale yet either.
Yeah, no, and that was one thing for me always is I always liked it, especially as I was like trying to learn and grow of seeing what was possible because I remember same like you. I think like that first 100K month, I was like, I saw that. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe people are doing that. Like, how do you do that? And then you get that, and then it's like, okay. Then it was the first, I saw the guy do 1 million in a month. I was like, holy shit, that's insane. How do you get there? And just having these things of like, okay, if this guy can do it, he's not that smart. I can do it, And
that's the biggest thing. If this guy can do it, why can't I do it?
Yeah. So,
but then he has a 1.2 in 6 days. So that's
then it's like I can't do that.
At some point it becomes a little too much, but as you're growing and getting there, and it seems like you're on a really good path. So I like it. I like you already got admins set up because that's definitely one that I know I spent way too much time where I was still. Like I was the one, our first, my first Q4 where I quit my day job and I really put, the time into it. We did 1.1 million out of the garage, me and I sourced everything myself and I printed out like every label. Yeah, we were using a prep center, but a lot of it was coming out of the garage because in Q4 you don't have time for prep center delays, and especially at that point in time. Just didn't have a prep center that was going to prioritize me. So I was, printing every damn label myself. And it was a lot of work. And then, it was like, okay, we got to outsource some of the shit. And I don't even think I had the inventory lab. I think I was doing it on Seller Central and using spreadsheets. It was stupid. So like, the fact that you're investing, I was a little slow to make some investments. I can't remember. I may have started at that point in time.
Oh, I didn't even mention this part. All of my VAs are split too. Like, so me and Jack are split. So it's like the money investment's like not even like it's like very slim.
Yeah. Nice. So, no, that's good. And it's I mean, that's the smart thing is getting yourself out of those type of tasks and then have other leads coming in and just keep growing it. And I think you'll hit some crazy numbers with this back to school. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you're going to have one semester that you're going back to this year.
Yeah, I'm going to do it all online though. It's 2 classes.
Oh, okay. That's easy.
It's like chemistry 2 and then like some math.
I was going to say that's going to eat into your Q4 there. It's dealing with all that, but it doesn't sound like it.
I know we're trying to end this, but I'm going to ask more questions. Sorry. What's bigger for you? Are you bigger in back to school or are you bigger for Q4?
Q4 is definitely bigger. It's just back to school, like naturally just works really well just because like shoes, apparel, backpacks, like all that stuff picks up in volume.
So then what are you shooting for December?
I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. It's going to be a scary number for sure, though.
What's that? I think that's 500K at least.
That's what I was thinking.
I was going to say $1 million, but
no.
You got 6 months to ramp up.
Yeah.
1 million Q4. That's a good goal too. There you go.
All right, well, cool. Well, hey, we appreciate you being on and spending time here with us. And we'll post all your information down in the description below. And appreciate it.
Sir, thanks for having me.
All right.